Hey everyone, it is Anna Runyon. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Classy Career Girl podcast. I am back from a long road trip with my family. We drove from San Diego to Colorado, stopped in Arizona, stopped in Palm Springs, and we made it back with two kids. So we are happy to be back. And while I was gone, I did a coffee Q&A. So I put up on my Instagram, on my Facebook, what questions do you have for me? And I got in a ton of questions. I answered them on social media, but I wanted to do like a recap podcast episode where I answered all your questions by talking through the podcast, because I know a lot of you guys sometimes miss some of the social media posts. So today's episode is going to be a little different. I'm not really teaching anything. We're just going to go through questions really quickly, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. So let's dive in. Welcome to the Classy Career Girl podcast. I'm your host, Anna Runyon, founder and CEO of Classy Career Girl, one of Forbes' most influential career sites. This is a podcast for a community of women who want to turn their passions into work they love. You'll learn how to become happy, successful, and balanced with class, skill, and style. We believe that you can create your future. So stop delaying your great life. Go put yourself out there. You can have your great life and career right now. First question is from Joanna. She said, what is your cup of coffee of your choice? And I said regular drip coffee with vanilla syrup and almond milk if I'm out, like at a Starbucks or coffee shop. But honestly, I really am trying not to spend so much at Starbucks. I'm trying to drink my coffee at home. So if I'm home, just regular coffee with almond milk or coconut milk and honey if I'm at home. But I'm also really trying not to drink so much caffeine because I honestly don't really need it. I just like the taste of it. So some days I kind of need it in the afternoon, but the mornings I usually, because I've been getting enough sleep now, I've been taking care of myself, I usually wake up fully rested and I don't feel like exhausted, like I need that cup of coffee anymore. So I'm trying to like start my day with like tea or just hot water and lemon, and that's usually all I need in the morning. So trying to get off the caffeine. The next question was from Go Further. She said, how do I understand the business side? I'm creative and numbers confuse me. So my answer was, as you grow your business, you're going to learn the finances with time. And in the beginning, make sure you separate your bank account for your business and you set up kind of like a financial system like QuickBooks. QuickBooks is what we use for our business. And if possible, you can hire a bookkeeper to help you keep track of everything. I know we did all of our finances and our bookkeeping in the beginning, and it was a huge headache. And the beginning, when I hired our first bookkeeper, Carol, she was amazing and she helped us stay organized. And all of a sudden I got these reports and tax time wasn't so hard. So the earliest you can hire a bookkeeper, the better. But I understand if you have to do it yourself. That's why QuickBooks is fairly simple to set up, to do yourself. You can also, I highly recommend, in order to learn your finances, looking at your income and expenses every single day. I do this every single day. I log in first thing in the morning, log into my bank accounts, make sure everything, all the expenses are okay, the accounts are okay, the income has come in. And I also set financial goals. And I recommend that you set financial goals too, because then you can really monitor the goals and how you're doing. The good news is that if numbers confuse you, you can hire this out eventually, but you do always need to learn yourself as well. So even if you hire it out, I highly recommend learning it yourself, because this is just part of being an entrepreneur, being uncomfortable and learning as you grow. So even though you're creative, just get that support, get that help, look at it a little bit every day, and you are going to learn as you grow. The next question came from Singlish. She said, how do I react if your boss doesn't like you? She is bullying you and she says bad things about you in meetings. First of all, you may need to report this boss to HR because of bullying. Don't hesitate to stand up for yourself and to report this because bullying is not acceptable. And if it's something you think you can get past yourself, try not to let this get you down. No one has time for drama. If you feel comfortable, you can bring this up to her or maybe some of the people that she was speaking with about you. Otherwise, just be confident in who you are, what you bring to the table, and also start that job search now. Just in case things get worse, usually they tend to get worse. And so start making that career transition plan right now because you are worth more than a company that treats you badly. I know it's really hard to see that right now when you are in that zone right now. That's all you can think about, but there is a better company out there for you. Trust me. The next question, it comes actually from my sister-in-law, Ellie Lakelife. She says, how do you stay so organized? So I could do a whole podcast episode just on this question, but I had to answer it shortly. So one of my biggest secrets is creating weekly review sessions with myself. So I know my top priorities each week, and that really, really helps me. So I try and do that every Sunday. So before Monday starts, I know what my top 3 priorities are for the week, and I've reviewed the past week, and I know what I'm doing. And so that helps me stay organized for my week because all the time we always feel like there's 20 million things that we should be doing. And so during those weekly review sessions, I review everything and I just really prioritize what truly needs to happen that week. But another thing is I say no to pretty much everything. So it's easy to be organized when you have very few things on your plate. I can't do it all. I can't say yes to everything. You should see the emails and requests that I get, and it's like we say no to pretty much everything. My priorities are my family and my membership community class. And over the last year, I've really simplified my life so I don't have a million things on my plate anymore, which has been really helpful now that this fall we had to start homeschooling my 6-year-old. And then I also have a 2-year-old and she's home with us now too because it's 2020. So I'm really glad this last year I really pared things down. I really started to say no to things so that when other things did come up, like this opportunity to homeschool my child, I was able to say yes to that because my family is one of my priorities. So those are a couple things, saying no and doing the weekly review sessions, as well as our amazing team here at Classy Career Girl helps me stay organized, and my incredible husband as well, because we're a team in our family and in our business. So he helps me stay organized as well. I also use our 90-day planner. So if you don't have the planning system that I use, that helps me stay organized. You can download that at classycareergirl.com/free plan. Gamu94 says, how do you train yourself to stick to your schedule when life seems to keep disrupting it? It's totally normal to have a million interruptions. I have a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old, so I understand interruptions. And that's why you need to know your priorities each week, each day as well. So if you have just one thing you need to do each day, then when you get interrupted by the 6-year-old, you just have to remember when you get the time to come back to just do that one thing when you get back to work. And then when you wake up, just do that one thing. And when you have a 10-minute break, the 2-year-old's taking a nap, I have 10 minutes. Do that one thing. And pretty soon that one thing is done and you can be proud that you got your one thing done each day. And I think we set ourselves up for failure when we try to do 20 things each day and we don't get them all done. That's just not possible. So I try not to live with that stress anymore like I used to. I used to have that stress of 20 million things a day that I'm supposed to get done. And so now I rarely have a schedule because my life is crazy with the kids home now. So instead I create priorities for my day. And when I get small chunks of time, I take advantage and only work on my priorities. Like this podcast was a priority for my week. It was a priority for my day. It's actually been on my to-do list for a long, long time, but we're finally getting it done because I made it a priority and my husband took the kids to the park. So I actually have a quiet house because I can't record episodes with the 6-year-old and a 2-year-old around. Marathia says, what's your quarantine routine? So this is a good question because every day is different, but I have been doing a pretty good job sticking to a morning routine that's slower than I used to have before COVID. So obviously when COVID hit, everything was crazy. But now that we're about 6, 7 months in, I feel like I'm starting to get back into a routine. And I start my day with checking in online. I check in at Classy Career Girl in our work through our team, Slack messages. I check in our Facebook groups, answering questions for our members. I check my finances. So I check my bank accounts and my goals. I read my affirmations. And then, like I said, I read affirmations. I write in my gratitude journal. I try and do some yoga in the morning, usually with my 2-year-old like hanging on top of me. And I try and listen to a podcast or an audiobook to like learn something and get my brain going first thing, followed by making breakfast and then getting my daughter set up with her homeschool. So I usually do work during nap time or during a break when my husband can watch the kids, right? Like right now, he's at the park with the kids. So I have a little break to do a little bit of work. And then we also try and do like daily walks around the neighborhood and eat as much as we can at home. So I'm usually making the kids lunch and dinner and snack, right? Like I'm making food all the time for the kids, making sure that they're eating so they don't get cranky. And then once a week we go to Grandma and Grandpa's house, my parents' house, so that John and I can get a little break, catch up on work, get some alone time or connect, and ideally not talk about work and just have a date. That's the goal, right? And then I do work occasionally in the evening as well after kids go to bed. Sometimes that's when I answered all these questions when I did that earlier, is in the evenings. But I used to be able to work a lot more in the evenings, but now like I'm just so exhausted by like 8:39. So I can't do that much in the evenings except if it's like kind of mindless. Life in Red Heels asks, what are your daily must-dos for a super productive day? Starting the morning with yoga or stretching, affirmations, and gratitude, and making sure I know my top priority of the day and that I've asked for help if I need it. So if I have a super long, crazy to-do list, I've asked for help. I'm not trying to do it all. Jan, my mother-in-law, says, how are you doing and how may I help you? Which is really sweet of her. And I'm doing really well, actually. 2020 has been a life-changing year for our family. I think that I have aged like at least 5 years in 2020. Like I feel like a completely different person today than I was January 1st, 2020. I'm sure you guys can relate, right? It's been a crazy, crazy year. It's not over yet, but I'm actually really enjoying homeschooling. I thought about homeschooling before, but I would have always been too scared to actually, follow through and actually do it. But I've known people who homeschool and I've always admired them. And I like to teach, if you guys didn't know, like I like to teach usually adults. So I'm enjoying teaching first grade and connecting with my daughter more. Our bond, we're so much closer. And we're doing really great with that. So I'm really proud of her. My husband takes half of the teaching too. Like he's like really good with science and history. He was a history major. So he takes that stuff and I love like the math and the reading and the writing and stuff. So we're a team, we're figuring it out, we're making do and making this year the most positive that it can be. And our family's spending a lot of time together and our girls are bonding, which is really neat. Like if this was a normal year, my 6-year-old would have been in school, my 2-year-old would be in daycare, and neither of them are. So they're just getting a lot of time together and it's just really fun to see them together. Alexis says, how does she stand firm in the decisions she makes? So any big decision that I have, I usually talk over with my husband. He works in the company with me. He's our chief operating officer. And so especially if it's business related, I'm talking it over with John. I've made some big decisions this year. I've closed down products and groups that I used to run myself, which is really hard to do. Like shutting down something that's generating income is really hard. So I've closed things down. I've also left communities I was part of, groups, mastermind groups that I was a part of. We made the decision to lead. So To me, it's knowing what my so to answer your question, Alexis, how do I stay firm in the decisions I make? It always goes back to my long-term vision and my personal values and making sure I make decisions based off those two things. So you can't go wrong when you do that. And then when you ask and get another person's opinion as well. Jesse said, how did you get your husband to not only support you in transition, but love it so much that he joined you? We never planned to work together. This is not what we had in mind. We've been married 13 years, and this was when we did our vows. Like I did not even know I was going to be an entrepreneur at that point in time. So what happened was he started to see the momentum that I was building after years and years of blogging. And I showed him my finances each month, and he could see that I was really happy doing that. Fairly miserable at my day job, but super happy doing my blog stuff. And we both knew what could be possible if I had more time and more help. And he also saw how overwhelmed I was as a new mom. And we both knew I couldn't be a full-time mom and a full-time career coach. Like I was trying to do it all while he was still at his day job. So in 2014, after our first daughter was born, he quit his job and he joined me to raise our daughter and work alongside me at Classy Career Girl as our operations manager. And so thank goodness too, because I needed some major help, and he's made everything so much better and improved things. We probably would not be here. You probably wouldn't even know about us right now if he wasn't part of the team. And I never pressured him or even really asked him to quit his job. I just did the work. I hustled my butt off and I showed him it was working. And that's what I would recommend. You have to show them the numbers. They have to see, like John could see that like the numbers were growing, and if I had more time, they would continue to grow. Okay, the next question is, how did you find time to work on your side hustle with your day job? So my number one strength is focus on the Strengths Finder. I highly recommend taking the Strengths Finder if you have not taken it. So I made sure to use batching as much as possible. Batching is when you group similar activities into certain time periods. So like if you check your email, you don't check your email all day. You check your email only, you batch that time together and only check it once a day. So I made sure to use batching as much as possible. So I would only focus on my day job during certain hours of the week. And then my dream business got my best hours other times of the week, usually first thing in the morning. I always recommend focusing on your goals, your passion, first thing right away when you get up, rather than working on someone else's goals. So I knew that I needed the day job to support my side hustle. So I was grateful for it. I worked as a consultant at a company called Booz Allen Hamilton for 8 years. So I was grateful for it because it supported my side hustle. But I always made sure that the second I left work, I put my entrepreneur hat on by listening to podcasts on my drive home. I left work at work. I did a good job at my day job, but I stopped giving 150%. I stopped trying to be perfect. I stopped trying to get a promotion anymore, which was super hard for me. But this allowed me to still have energy and brain power to work on my dream business in the early mornings and in the evenings. Nothing was easy. Nothing is easy still, but having that vision is really important, and knowing my why made those tougher times a little easier to manage. So I even carried like a vision journal with me to work, and I would look at it during breaks so I knew what I was working so hard for. And I also knew my why. Like I knew I wanted a family someday way back then. And so my daughter was born a few years after I started out. All right, thanks so much for listening to today's episode. This was super fun to answer your questions. So thank you to everyone who submitted your questions, and I'll see you next week. Hey there, it's Anna Runyon, and I would like to invite you to my upcoming free masterclass called How to Plan, Design, and Launch Your Dream Career or Business Without Wasting Time or Money. I'm going to go over 3 simple strategies to go from feeling stuck at work to waking up excited every single Monday. So you can save your seat at www.classycareergirl.com/masterclass.